Welcome back, everyone. This is Eliza Sidner-Rom, How to Start a Young Horse, Part 9. This is where I want to shift to talking about learning to focus on the rider. I want to share 2 rides on DW from this week, and now my focus is shifting a little bit away from just the idea of him becoming familiar with the act of riding to him really learning to focus on me and us communicating through my aids as a rider. Now I've taken away the ground person because I trust that I've done the work to teach him how to understand my basic aids. And I'm also beginning to add in some expectations that he can focus on me even with some small appropriate distractions. What I mean by that is, like, I have TC, his buddy, in the arena now because one of the things he's going to need to learn to join the citizenry of riding horses is to be able to work in the ring with other horses. But I want to do these things carefully. I'm not going to throw him into the arena with 2 other horses trotting and cantering. But he has followed TC, which went okay, but not great because TC is just way too small. And so now he needs to work with TC in the middle, and Kate's just standing there. And so she's a distraction, but not a very big distraction. So he kind of wants to look at TC every now and then, but then he needs to focus on me and go back to work. So you can see from what we talked about last week that the pushing from the back is coming along fairly well. There are times, especially in the trot, where he's starting to come nicely round on his own. Again, I'm not asking him to come round through the contact. I'm just trying to focus on the acceptance of contact. And when he comes round, I'll praise him. And when he gets distracted and looks around, that's okay. I just bring his focus back to me gradually. And I want to look for, are his ears listening to me? When he loses focus, can I get it back? Focus is something that we can teach our horses. Some horses are naturally better at it, just like some people are naturally better at it. So here's where I start adding in another piece. Now we're done with DW's work for the day. He did a nice walk, trot, canter each way. That's about all he needs to do for now. So now I want him to just walk around while his buddy works. And TC's going to go past him at the trot and go past him at the canter. And this is something that can be quite frightening for some horses. It depends very much on the horse's personality type. But some horses get really a little bit frightened by another horse coming at them. So again, I want to do this in a thoughtful way. Kate is being very thoughtful about not galloping right next to me. And I'm being thoughtful about riding sort of on the quarter line as she goes past. And I talk to DW and Kate talks to DW as she goes past. So here's the next day's ride. And you can begin to see already how he's settling more and more in the contact. So I don't have another horse in the ring, but my next student has come down the hill to get ready for her lesson. And she said to me, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were on such a green horse. Do you want me to go away?" And I said, No, I don't want you to go away. He can learn now that she's there, and he brings his focus back to me. So the only thing I asked her, she was going to go down in the woods for a little trail ride before our ride. And that's a bit much for DW to handle yet. Eventually, of course, I would expect him to be able to keep working with that. But to have a horse down the hill in the woods where he can hear them but not see them, that's a bit much for me to expect him to keep working right now. So I told her, please don't go away, but just walk around where he can see you. And she decided to just stand there, which was very nice of her. So you can see here too, he's beginning to learn the idea of stretching a little bit. And for now, if he stretches down, I just say, good boy. And if he pops right back up, that's okay. But every time he stretches down, I say, whoa, what a good idea. This is part of him learning to seek the contact. If he will learn to seek the contact wherever it is, if I lengthen the reins, he will learn to seek the contact down. So I wanted to show a little bit our canter work as well. And you can see here, if you watch his ears, he's still a little distracted by this other horse nearby. She's behind the gazebo, she's moving around, but that's good. I want him to have a few distractions. I'm not going to make everything perfect for him. He doesn't get to have the arena all to himself with 0 distractions every day. But I also want to be realistic and not throw him in the deep end with many horses in the ring. Or, for instance, the other day my dad drove down with a big noisy trailer attached to the truck, and it was squeaking and bumping down the hill. So I let him stop and just look at that when that was happening, because again, we're still only on probably ride number 25. So I want to be realistic. I wanted to show you here what happens when he makes a little bit of a mistake. I'm going to ask him to pick up the canter. This is his slightly harder lead, and he gets the wrong lead. So no big deal. I just use my voice, bring him back to trot. We're going to come around again, and I'm going to ask him again as he comes to the wall. That's the best spot to pick up the arena rather than in the middle of the long side. And there we go. We go ahead and we go forward into the canter. So that's such a common mistake with a young horse. I would never punish a horse for that. And he has to keep thinking forward. So he got the gait right, but he got the lead wrong. So that's fine. And here he's spooking a little bit at the gazebo there. But even here in the canter, I expect that he can keep cantering, even though he was falling in quite a lot. And that's part of him learning that even if he's a little distracted, he has to keep doing the task that I've asked him to do. The world doesn't stop when he wants to look at something, and that just takes practice. So I'm going to put up with the fact that he fell in there, but I did expect him to keep cantering. And then here we go into the other lead. And although he picks this lead up quite well, he's actually a little bit more sucked back in this lead. So I'm going to really insist here that he go forward, because you can see his ears go a little back. So I'm going to shout at him for a second and tap him on the shoulder, and he really has to go. I'm not going to put up with any of that where he gets into this climby, rocking horse canter. He's got to go forward, and then I take my leg off, and then I tell him he's a brilliant, smart boy. These clips here were from the beginning of the ride, and I want to show you how I handle him spooking a little bit. So he's looking a lot at something in the gazebo, and again, he has to keep going forward. I don't mind that he doesn't stay perfectly on the track, and I'm not going to force him around, but I'm just going to talk to him, and he has to keep going. He has to keep paying attention to me and bringing his focus back. So some people would stop completely and let him look at that, but unless it's something absolutely terrifying, I'm not a big believer in that. He needs to learn to keep going past things and bring his focus back to me. It's very important that he learn that when he gets a little distracted, that doesn't get a big rise out of me. He goes right back to work, and he gets my attention and my praise when he is working and focused and doing a good job. He does not get a lot of attention from me when he's doing the wrong thing. I hope you all can see how quickly he's progressing now, which is why this stage is probably my favorite with a young horse, because every single day feels like a big leap forward in terms of progress. It's a very satisfying stage. See you next week.